This is the Tab Fan Bunker, Episode 3, Origin Edition, and we are stoked to be back, and we have a couple of new faces. We'll start off with the fans. Jimmy and Fred, you are back, boys, and welcome back. And Dave, welcome for your first episode. And because it's an Origin Edition, we've got 3 Origin superstars here in Willie Mason, Josh Reynolds, back as per, and welcome Allana. All right, let's get the mics up and get straight into it. And we're going to start off with a question for Grub. And this one's coming from Jimmy, and he wants to talk about, there's going to be a lot of selection talk here, obviously. And the first one starting off on Turbo. Jimmy, up to you.
Just around Turbo's non-selection, he probably wasn't fit enough to be picked, but is his body making him unpickable? At his best, he's probably the most complete, when he's healthy, the best complete outside back since probably Greg Inglis. But for an Origin series, do you almost have to go in knowing he may not be sweet, or is he only sort of viable for something like an Ashes squad where you are taking a decent amount of cover? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, soft tissue injuries, they're not to muck around with. And that's what's, even though it's his knee at the moment and he looks a little bit ginger, but, I sort of know firsthand that it's just always in the back of your head. And I think watching Turbo play at stages, you can sort of see that. And look, he's still making over 200 metres a game and whatnot, but he's just not having that same turbo effect that we're sort of used to. I know, Loz was considering putting him on the wing because I think our centres were pretty well picked in Critter and Latrell. And wingers these days, they're the ones doing all the tough stuff. You need a guy that's fully fit, ready to cart the ball up as many times as possible. But then you probably say Toto and Lomax are a little bit underdone at the moment as well. But, yeah, I know it was hard for, I had Turbo in my team, but then you sort of watch him and it's just not the Turbo that we're used to. So, yeah, I hope he just gets back to what we're used to, and maybe not being in the Origin arena can maybe help that, and he can just focus on getting back to his full fitness for Manly. But yeah, it's especially hamstrings, mate. They suck. They really do.
Robbie, do you reckon he's that sort of bloke that he just put New South Wales first to sacrifice himself because he knows that he's not up to scratch with New South Wales and at that Origin level, and he's just rang Loz and gone, don't even consider me, because it would have been a bit of a round table discussion going, do we pick Zach Lomax or do we stick with Turbo? I think he's that sort of human. You know him as well. I reckon he's rang Loz on Saturday, Arvo or something like that, and they've had a conversation. He's like, I'm not in. Don't worry about it. Save yourself the worry.
Mace, he was in your team all the way until the weekend as well, and then you had your doubts right at the end as well. So
yeah, I did. I was just like, because I had doubts in Zach Lomax, and then he just comes back and he had 25 hit-ups. Not doubting Zach Lomax's ability. He's an animal, right? But he's had 6 weeks out with a foot injury. You know how important play 2s are, play 3s are in Origin, and they'll stop you, pick you up, drive you. So if you don't have that, that acceleration, that second step, you can get stopped. And I looked at that on the weekend, and I went, no, he's fine. And then I looked at Turbo. I'm like, he looks like the one that was under the pump.
Hesitant.
I was thinking if they go with Zach, I'll be like, I can see it. I can see why.
Yeah, not that I've ever had a play 2 carry, but
I don't think I want to play 2 carry. I think I have actually.
They are very
but it's
important.
different. Not from running back. No way. It's definitely off the kickoff, then play 2. That's
I don't like
play
talking
2
about him. I actually don't even like talking about him because I always get hammered. But it is. But it was.
Would you try again?
What?
Oh, round Siri.
Very easy. Talking about play 2 carries.
Play 2 carries.
You never take a play 2 carry series.
But I just, it was a bit of it was a tough one for Loz because, I kept trying to get stuff out of him on the radio, and I just know that he was worried about Toto, and Toto played a game, but then they had the bye. So he's like, Toto only gets 1 game. Lomax comebacks only gets 1 game, and it was always in the back of his mind.
I think you got to trust the Totos, don't you? He's been around for 4 or 5 years. And what injury was he? Was it a knee?
No, I think it was his hammy.
Yes.
I know, that's scary, mate.
Jeez. Sucks to be a selector. That would be I didn't know it was a hamstring. I didn't know it was soft tissue. So no wonder.
He got the Cowboys game and then got a bye though, Mace. So he's got a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Hammy's his hard bar because Hammy's is his leg drive. Like you think about Toto and what he does for their go forward. Yeah, well, bloody share it, brother.
There you go. Denny White.
But do you know what I mean? Like his Hammy's. You look pretty similar, right? Yeah, like that's a hard one. It's going to be under the pump. His Hammy. I reckon in terms of Turbo playing Origin, there's no, like he couldn't. I think for sure he would have put. He is one of those players, and like you want everyone to be this way, but they're not. He is genuinely a team first bloke, like genuinely. There's only a handful of those kind of players out there. He is only worried about the team, so he for sure would have done that, no doubt.
We're all team first here too, by the way.
Yeah.
Anything
first
else
tab.
before we wrap it up?
For Turbo, do you think it's a combination of he needs to get the runs in, like
He needs the reps. He does. He needs the reps.
Like mental as well as
He
physical.
needs to get through because you can see.
to not trust his body.
Yeah, you can see like with your eyes, right, on the TV, and you're like, they don't look like Turbo, right? They don't look like him, you know. So you can do the visual test and go, okay, well, he's not up to it. And he knows himself. He knows himself. So as you said before, Fergie, he's probably one of the only people that'll go New South Wales first, and I'll sit back and work my way in, and we'll all know when Turbo's ready. It's when he's doing Turbo things, and he's not able to do that because of his body.
Can you pass the mic to Allana, please? We've got one from Dave. The New South Wales women's just wrapped up the series last week, Dave, and you got a question for Allana around the scheduling.
Yeah, so Women's Origin this year, I mean, despite the fact it wasn't that competitive in the end, awesome spectacle, numbers were great. We love an Origin in the pouring rain, and it's sort of been getting better year on year, you know, since they changed it from 2 to 3 games as well. As this momentum keeps going, do you think they would benefit from having it mid NRLW season, the same way the men's work, so that there's sort of, you know, talk around selection, you get to see these players' journeys, you get maybe young players who are bolters. Is that going to help the game, or would that just sort of create too much, I don't know, difficulty for the players?
Yeah, it'll help it. I think what we did see was just after COVID, they had to catch up on an NRLW comp, and they chucked it at the front of the year, and the women played Origin off the back of it. That game was in Canberra. That first game, because they'd been playing footy before it, there were only 2 handling errors in the entire game. Like that's because they've been playing footy. So you look at that one example, and it's probably the best example to launch this conversation off the back of it. But also I think what you said about the women's game going to 3 games and just the trajectory that it's been flying at, it's a very big part of the discussion at the moment. Like I've sort of spoken to people in the NRL, in New South Wales Rugby League. Obviously I work at 9, so on that broadcasting front as well. And because the game's been going so well, now we're at a point where the scheduling and that conversation is really important. Like the first and second game of Women's Origin, Game 2 just beat Game 1 this year, but Game 2 had 2.1 million people watching it. It was the highest rated or highest watched rugby league game out of any game this year.
Yeah, well.
Which is insane. Obviously, men's Origin's going to be next week, and that'll top it. But like you'd expect it to as well. But I think just with how the women's game's going at the moment, it's obviously getting those eyeballs. The priority needs to be there, and I think across all different facets of rugby league, I think everyone's understanding that and understanding that the scheduling needs to be prioritised. I reckon the one thing that's holding them back is, well, there's a couple of things. One, they wanted that time slot where it could be a standalone game. So obviously having the 3-game series, it worked really well last year, and this year being that first Thursday night footy before Magic Round. But the progression, so there's that part. And then also they really wanted the grand final days to align. So NRLW starts later so that the men's and the women's grand final can be on the same day, right? But now I think the game's at a point where they can take into consideration how big this women's state of origin is, how well it's doing, like how many people are watching it, the product, all the rest of it. And I think there are some pretty serious conversations happening to make sure that they are playing footy beforehand, because obviously the game's great. Like my favourite part about going to work now is some of the boys that I work with, like Andrew Johns, who was my favourite player growing up, an absolute freak. Like I turn up to work, we chat footy, and we might talk about a game or 2 on the weekend, but like he wants to talk about specific plays, specific players, about the bloody Chicks Origin game that just happened. Like that's unreal, and that's happening everywhere, which is awesome. So I think we've got this really great product, and we can take it to the next level by doing that. That'd be a massive step for rep women's footy.
Shortened season too, right? Dave, I don't know if you know, like, just it's only is it still 10 rounds this year, or
So
is
there's
there
12.
new
There's 12 teams coming in. So
Okay,
so
gotcha.
they've got. I just think they've got the flexibility to be able to change things at the moment because nothing's set in stone. And the best thing is they've got a product that's working.
Yep. And what's it going to take, as you said, for it to go to that next level? Is it just a matter of the more eyes are on the game, the more money's coming in, the more they can pay the players more, and then the players have more flexibility in their lives to be able to, whether it be have longer seasons or to have more clubs and more funding in the grassroots? What's it going to take to go to that next level?
It's a business. It's always been a business. And then also we're in the entertainment business, so it's got to be an entertaining product. So, look, I'm always going to be critical on specific areas because I want the women's game to do well. I'm very passionate about it for obvious reasons. But rugby league as a general just game, like I love it. I've always loved it. I don't think the women deserve what the men get equally yet, but I think we need to take some strong steps to get to that point. Even out of the NRL, they're saying they want as many NRLW teams as we've got NRL. Like, we don't have that yet.
Not
We
ready
don't
for it.
have that. We've got to put money into our
NRL
pathway.
barely have that.
It shouldn't. I hope that doesn't even happen in 10 years' time, to be honest. Like, we need to take our time. 12's great. Like, 12 teams is great. Let's play everyone twice. Do you know what I mean? Like, we
We
don't
had a
need
two-year break before we went from 10 to 12, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Like, if we were ever
Minimum.
to
Yep,
expand
that's a
to
minimum,
14,
exactly.
you'd think
Let's
2 or
just
3 years
wait.
minimum.
There's chicks playing footy now that can come all the way through. They never have to put a football down. In the next 5 to 10 years, we'll really see that. We'll see that strength in the game. And then we can start filling those voids. Be patient. Exactly. And then, around security of the women, obviously they need to be paid enough so that if they want to have kids, they can. They don't have to work 2 jobs. Like, they deserve to have that, I think, and they deserve to have healthcare and all the rest of it. Like, they deserve that for sure. But we need to make sure that the product stays entertaining because at the end of the day, that's what we want to see. Like, we watch Women's Origin and they are proper athletes running out there. I think that's even, like, generally why New South Wales beat Queensland. Like, they were more athletic. They were physically more powerful, the way that they were built. So I think that's something that Queensland can do is try and match that. But, yeah, we've got pretty impressive athletes playing women's rugby league at the moment. We just need to be patient, treat our athletes right, and it will come. It's already shown that it'll come. Like, they've had proper coaches in there for the last 3 or 4 years, and the game's gone through the roof. You know what I mean?
Even just the Allana, when I do a little bit of the community stuff for the Bulldogs and go to schools, and there's just so many young little girls wanting to play footy now. It's changed. You can just see that there's a lot more. So that's where it is of, when it first started. They were probably just trying to get athletes from even the AFL, but now there's going to be little girls that start at the age of 6 learning skills, and imagine that in, like you said, in 15 years, like how good it's going to be and where the game's going to be at then.
We were saying the participation, like just say if you're a 15-year-old girl now, right, there's a heap coming through the system. So to be patient, that's what I said, in 5 years, they're going to be 20 years old. They'll be all NRLW players. So if they can just wait a little bit and don't rush it, and the product it's all about the product. Eyes on TV. We want to watch the NRLW normal games, not just Origin, and go, okay, that's a good game. Right? So in 5 years, these young girls will be indoctrinated into the professionalism of the game instead of like the trailblazers like yourself, part-time here, scheduling all over the place. They'll be coming into a fixture where it's just like 20 games a year, 3 Origins here, it'll be all set. So they just need to be patient and do that.
Keep the mic, big fella. This is for the big fellas. You're going to get a question from Fred about what a lot of people perceive to be the biggest omission for Game 1 for the Blues. Fred?
Yeah, a lot of fans are a little bit confused by Trbojevic not being selected. He's absolute force, has been one of the best props in the game this year, and Laurie pointed to his defense as probably the main reason why he didn't get picked. I just wanted to know, is it how different is it to defend in Origin in the middle compared to club footy?
Chalk and cheese. Like I can see reasons why he didn't get picked easily. It's not like he's a really good player at club level, but the power and the explosiveness is probably what lets him down. Like, he'll play massive minutes, right? It's just like a big diesel. It's the same pace the whole time. It looks like he's going at 75%, 80% the whole time, right? So in Origin, you need that explosiveness, and it's not like he can't tackle. He's just not a ferocious defender. Do you know what I mean? So it's different in Origin when Tino's running at him, like, I want collisions, right? And big time collisions. You can't have that. He could have done a job for us easily. And like, if he got picked, I would have went, yeah, he deserves it. But like, Stefano's a bit of a beast. Max King, and Max King's probably one of the guys who's under the most pump, right? Because like, whose numbers better? Keon's, Stefano's, all these guys. Is he in there because the Bulldogs are going so well? Have a look at his numbers. Look what he does like on the field. He's very underrated prop. You know, like with how efficient he is in defence, his work rate around the ruck, all these little things that selectors look at, that Laurie looks like, that Craig Bellamy looks at, who's in his right pocket. He goes, no, because it's all defence based. He'll run all day. You'd have to get him to play 75 minutes, 80 minutes, Nelly, to make an impact on Origin. Coming off the bench, I need an explosive machine who comes off like a Spencer Lenu, who can go out there and go hard. Stefano, even Max King's under the pump for that because he's a big minute player. Like if you give Max King 20 minutes and we get beat, he'll probably be the fall guy.
Yeah.
You know, like things like that happen in Origin. So
I've heard this tossed up. Sorry, Fred, to jump in. I agree. Would you say if you're going to have Terrell Mayhew, he'd be a starter? Or not on the bench? And then I've heard people toss up that potentially Max will start because of that. And Richie Barnett could come off the bench.
That's what I mean. You've got to be, it's a different sort of player. Myself being I started and I played off the bench in Origin because I had explosiveness, right? You got to have that. You can't be a starter and just be like a big diesel like Max King. For him to impact Origin, he's going to have to play 60 minutes. He can't come off the bench where Mitch Barnett, quicker line speed, he can really speed the ruck up. Spencer Lenu's the best bench player in the world, nearly ever. I've never seen a guy make an impact like that. So when you pick an Origin teams, when you pick an Origin teams, it's very specific how they play. Like the starters rarely get picked as like, if you're not explosive, if you're a starter, if you get picked on the bench, it's a bit different. You've got to be able to go out there and make a difference.
I'll say one thing as well with the Max King selection. I know the system he's in at the moment under Cam, communication is one of the biggest things. And up at Suncorp, you literally can't hear. You cannot hear. And Max, he'll help out the other tights, you know, those like Payne Haas's and stuff. They're for the punch, they're for that. But Max King will be the guy that when it's, you know, when you get Cameron Munster stepping up, he's got, you know, whoever on his inside, Max King will be the one pointing that out. And in a moment, in an occasion like that can win or lose you the game.
You've got to be smart. You know how important it is to have smart middles, right? No deficiencies in your defence. You've got to be like 90-95% efficient tackler, right? You've got to win most of your tackles. And in Origin, it's hard because everybody goes up another 20%. You know what I mean? So they would have had doubts on Terrell, mate. It's not like he's played the game before. You know, like he's playing really well I was going to swear there. He's playing really well in an average side. He's getting the lion's share of the ball. Like, I expect him to put up these numbers. If you're playing 70-something minutes in the middle and you're getting the ball 20, 25 times a game, I'd expect over 200 metres a game as well.
Yeah.
And over 35 tackles, 40 tackles. If you're making that many tackles in the middle, you're a spot.
Yeah.
Make 20, max.
I just had a quick question in regards to like if he did play 40 minutes, do you think there'd be more energy and more attention to like the smaller parts of the game, like the 1%ers, or do you think that he's only really effective in a big minutes role?
I think he's only effective in a big minutes role. Like that's where if he was playing off the bench the last couple of years for the Roosters, everyone knew it's like, geez, he's got a big motor. They're the games that stood out when he played 70 minutes and he got these big numbers. So if he was a super coach guy, which I'm not a super coach guy, which I don't care about numbers, everybody's like everyone's blinded by these numbers. Oh my God, he's playing this and this. I don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Like you got to do the numbers and you got to have an impact on the game, right? These guys like Stefano can impact the game in a different way. Spencer Lenu, Olakau'atu, these guys are scary.
Yeah.
All right, Lana, this question's for you from Jimmy. It's around the broadcasters and a potential the announcement and how we do it, Jimmy.
The way the teams sort of there's all that speculation, which everyone loves, podcast, blah, blah, blah. But the way the teams actually get announced, do you think there's a market for some sort of show where like a panel, sort of like the NFL draft do, getting coaches on, announcing picks, you have a panel, they can be asked questions or explain their selections rather than journos get leaked teams, discuss it, you get Shamus filming
I have to be careful, you do know where I work.
Yeah, I know, but like,
but you're right, yeah.
like I feel like there's such a market for a show that's
the
announcing
unreal.
the team and explain why, get a panel, get Joey asking questions why this, but like rather than just it comes in at 8 p.m. after South and Tigers play at Campbelltown, and then
And we already know
Yeah,
the
you're
team.
right.
and we already know the team, and
Yeah,
why
exactly.
and why does Queensland get the day after? Like, what?
Can we talk about that as well?
Why do they get like?
Because Queensland, it's Origin.
It's just BS.
No, that'd be mad. I reckon that'd be so good. And also in rugby league, like we're diehards. All of our fans are diehards. Do you know what the best example of like the broadcast, would it work, right? Like if that's the conversation, would it work?
tune in.
For sure
Mate,
it
everyone would tune in. So ahead of Magic Round this year, they made a late call to take 100% footy and Freddie and Joey's show. They went up to Queensland. Pretty much all they told the punters was like a time frame of when they were going to be there. That was it. So everyone turned up hours beforehand. They even started later, I think, and they all stuck around. There were kids, there were families, like they fully packed it out. And the punters knew nothing really other than they were going to do their show from it. They didn't get to speak to any of them because they were obviously on air and they were punching through. So, well, like, firstly, I think the punters in rugby league as a general would turn up. I reckon if we had that kind of a show for the announcement, why not have a live audience? Like, our game would love
like a
that.
no-brainer.
It seems like a massive no-brainer. I guess it's all about making sure that the two teams commit to that. And they'd probably have to do it on the Monday because there are games on the Sunday.
Yeah, you'd have to account for injuries, wouldn't you?
You'd have to.
Like you couldn't
You'd have
name the
to,
side on
surely.
Sunday night. and
But
then
also, why don't
someone-
they do it on the same day? That's like another part of the conversation.
It's just
But
been like, oh, it just happens just cause. Like,
It'd be
why,
mad.
why just cause? Why not make it both teams Monday?
Yeah.
Not like you expect the players to go on this show, but like I would love to see Joey or Freddie or whatever go. Oh, you've picked like Billy, you've picked Ponga over Walsh.
even just
for
to get the
example, like,
boys, even just
to-
to get the boys like the announcement up
Yeah.
there, and then they go straight from camp.
be
Like you could have
awesome.
2 live sites. You could have a live site in New South Wales, and you could have one in Queensland. Like
viewers
get
would be
one.
there.
100%, they'd
Yeah.
be there. I reckon it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't been brought up like more. Whether it be
Imagine that.
9, like Peter V'landys, Abdo, like you know what it's like. We in a game where eyeballs and views and what this game provides that, and I'm talking about Origin, that every other code would love to have. So if you create more theatre to it, that's what makes the NFL
That's our
so
whole
good.
game.
That's the draft. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's our whole game right there.
So,
Can we
yeah.
clip this up?
We'll clip
I'll
it
get
up.
it sent to
When's
the
the
Landys.
episode?
You shoot it to the bosses, and
Stay tuned.
if it ends up working, maybe we get a little clip here as well.
They used to do press conferences to announce the team, didn't they? I feel like I remember when I was younger.
the players there. They're all
Yeah.
going to camp.
It'd be
I used to find out in Origin, we used to watch Channel 9 and announce the team, like in the mid-2000s. That's
that's
how you
it.
found
Yeah,
out.
that's
Just
what
like,
I remember.
Oh, yeah, I'm in. Sweet. Camp. I'll go to camp now. See you guys.
You were
I'm at a pub.
Stop it. That's how you
You were already in Coogee Bay because
Yeah,
you knew
that's
you were
what we
in
used to
the
do. We'd just
at the pub.
we'd be on a drink or something like
waving.
that, and then be like, "Oh shit,
We're up here,
in
boys."
Origin." Just watch it on the TV. I knew anyway. I was already in
I
camp.
want Mace there representing Tad, asking the questions.
I was already in
The
camp. I was already there. Hurry up, guys.
Mate, Mace is the reverse Terrell May. He found on Thursday that he's
Yeah,
in.
I already found out. I
that
didn't have
he's
to
out.
play.
He just
Yeah.
rock up. All right, Mace, this is for you, and it's come from Dave. It's around the risk management for players in and around the Origin period.
Yep. So I think 2 things that stuck out for me this year were the Cowboys and the Panthers. They've both got a lot of players playing Origin this year, and they're 2 teams that sort of can't afford to be dropping games that they could win at this point in the season. You know, usually the teams who are up the top of the ladder have a lot of players in Origin, and they can maybe afford to rest their players because it matters less if they lose a team. So how do these players decide, both personally and for the club, you know, with their injury management or just tiredness, whether they should be playing or
This
not?
is a hard one. It's getting harder and harder because Origin keeps getting bigger and bigger, but I don't think you can change it. You just have to deal with it. Origin's hard. Everybody wants to play Origin, but then who butters your bread? The club football. So it's like you got to play on Wednesday, and if you got to back up on Friday, you back up. That's just part of the game. You don't get the opportunity to sit out or anything like that because your number one priority is to win a grand final and to be in the finals. And both those teams, they need all those players backing up at the moment. It's a perfect example. They're sitting not in the 8, just abouts like the Cowboys, but like they need to play on those games. Otherwise, they will not make the 8. You know, it's this is something about the game that's you're never going to get right. You just have to back up. That's it.
But also, those teams that are going well, they seriously are the club first teams. Like you've got to play club footy like you are playing club first. That's why you get picked. for Origin. Like you've got to have that mentality.
It's a weird one for Penrith.
It's
'cause
weird
they've
for
always been at the
Penrith.
So
top.
weird.
Because they got
Yeah.
exactly.
You
That's
know?
probably the
Now they don't
weirdest
have the
one.
luxury of it this
It's
year.
like Liam Martin would get a rest, Yowie would get a rest, even Cleary sometimes. You know, like Luai. You got these guys around. Now you got no one. You're backing up Liam Martin, and then you're going straight in. Leoi's playing straight in, and they're 80-minute players. Big time players. So even the Cowboys have got their players. Like you just have to deal with it. Every team has their little. It happens all the time. So it's something that you just can't sook about,
You
right?
sort of feel like when I ever had the chance to back up, when I obviously a bit younger and the soft tissue dust wasn't around, you feel a bit guilty.
Yes.
You want to play. Like I always wanted to
Badge
play
of
for the
honour,
Bulldogs
right? It's a
because-
badge of honour. You just want to play for your club.
Well, they got you there as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Your boys helped you get there, right? Like, so I was always like, I'm 100% playing no matter what. So that was just how I felt coming out of the Origin.
I think every player still has that mentality. They really want to come out and play their best for their club if they're fully fit. But when are you fully fit? Just at the start of preseason, you are banged up from day, like pretty much the first trial. Like, oh God, here we go again, and get to the end of the year. So like it's hard. This is part of the game. That's where the 1% sit, and that's why they're at the top. That's why they have to do that, and then they go back to club and be the best playing club. That's embedded and you get indoctrinated into that when you come into the NRL. It's a big deal getting picked in Origin. It's how you back up. Most of the guys who play Origin, when they do back up, usually the best players.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said before that, like, I don't know if they'll ever get it right in terms of where to schedule the Origin because there's always going to be those factors at play. My controversial opinion here is that I really like having Origin mid-season and the way it can sometimes even out the teams and how the better teams will obviously have more players going, so it gives the other teams a chance to maybe catch up, and it creates sort of
look at
different
the Bulldogs,
seasons
but look
within
at the Bulldogs.
it.
We've got what, 2 players? You know, like you got Critter and you got Max King. That's it. And we're sitting at the top. Kurt Mann's 18th man. Oh, that's dodgy, isn't it? We always get an 18th man in there. So like that's only 2 players for a team that's up the top. The Warriors only have like 1, Mitch Barnett. Who's coming? Like Melbourne's got a few. Like so, all the top 4 teams aren't losing that many players. So this year, there's not that much to whinge about because these other. But it's on the other spectrum because Penrith aren't on top. So you're like, oh, no one feels sorry for Penrith. No one. Because you've been getting their asses kicked for the last 5 years. No one feels sorry for Penrith.
I just had a quick question, just in
Okay,
regards,
yep.
just to follow up.
Fucking hell, Fred.
When you play on Wednesday, in Origin, is it harder to back up on the Friday after 2 days rest, or is it harder like after a couple more
It
days?
was harder on
comes
a
in?
Sunday
Yeah,
because you're still like, 2 days. You can deal with Friday. And then Saturday, she just gets sorer and sorer and sorer. So it's like, and then you have like 5 days, and then you've played. It's pretty much like a short turnaround, which sucks, right? So in your head, you're like, you just want to get it over with. So when you play Wednesday, I'd look at the schedule. Yes, Friday game, because you'd have a fair dig on the Wednesday night, Thursday, then straight into a Friday game.
You just drink all the way through.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop. Straight to Friday. That's what I was looking. I was like, I don't want to be hungover for the Friday. Saturday, the hangover would kick in, and so I'm like, oh damn, give me the Friday game.
Keep the mic up, Grub. Fred's got a question around the halves, mate.
yeah. Nathan Cleary and Mitch Moses, they typically play on the right side for club. I just wanted to know your thoughts on whether having one of them play left side, is that going to give Queensland a bit of a weakness to exploit?
I wouldn't think so, mate. No. The one thing I will say, though, it'll be for Mitch, because I'm assuming he's going to play on the left. It's just the inside shoulder tackles you're going to make. So if you're defending on his usual right side, you're defending on the inside. It's just a bit different. And me personally, I was absolutely terrible on my left. Well, I wasn't great on my right, but I was absolutely terrible on the left. So I would worry. I swap side. I wouldn't care about the attack. You just blend in and same sort of thing, but it's more the defensive side and winning the tackle. And I think that's where, Mitch has got to have a look. But with the attacking side of things, it annoys me when people say they're not going to work, because Mitch was a 5'8" coming through. Remember at the Tigers, he played with Brooksy 5'8" his whole life. And then I'll go back to the grand final of Nathan Cleary. When Cogger come on the field, Nathan played 5'8". I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Cogger was first on the ball, playing nice and square and direct, and Nathan was sweeping out the back. So everyone's saying, who's going to be on ball? I think at stages of the series, both of them will.
Yeah.
Like, how hard's that for Queensland if you're trying to spot Mitch out the back, but then he's like at the front over there? So I got no problem with the combination.
There's no
at all.
way in the world that they're going to be split. There's no way in the world. Sometimes, if obviously in the middle of the field, that's more dangerous. If you got one of those guys on each side of the ruck. If you're a middle or a right edge, you're like, oh, you're a bit worried because they both attack really good. So I'm not worried about the combination at all. I was at the start when Luai. That's why I picked Luai in my first thing because I'm like, first game Brisbane, you sort of want to get that in there. Combinations don't really want to work on it that much. That's the reason why I was going with Luai. But in my head, I'm like, they're going to go with Moses, right? Because I just think it fits a little bit more. And I'm like, they're not going to waste time like a week on this combination. They're like, just play footy. Play footy, push up every play. That's it. And if you see something, Cleary, on the left side of the ruck, take it. Like he has been. Moses, same as you. Just do what you want to do. Do what got you here. Gun kickers, gun organisers.
I feel as well, Mitch plays the short sides nearly the best out of anyone.
Yeah, the best.
Speed over the advantage line, puts pressure on defenders. The only thing I will say, and it doesn't affect Mitch because he's probably the second best kicker in the game. If I was going to play on the left, I usually play on the right with my kicking game. As a right footer, you're getting the pressure from the inside. So you're getting people coming at your right leg. It's a bit harder to keep your shoulders square to put it into that left corner. So you usually go left and can kick him out in the full. But Mitch does it for para. He swings around the short side on the left and puts them up so that there won't be a problem.
Like imagine this. So just say they get on the right side and they have a long shift and they get Crichton at the 4-man and they try and get to the 3-man. And then Moses is just in the middle of the field. He just sweeps around the short side. He's got like Latrell. That's where you want to spot up the young kid. That's where you want to spot the young kid Toya up. You know what I mean? So when you get down at those 4 and 3-man, he's just going to sit behind the ruck and see what's going on. And then bang, he's so quick over that thing. And then Latrell gets his one-on-one with Toya right near the line. It's going to be hard to stop.
I reckon that's who they go after, boys. I reckon they go after Cherry Evans, Cotter,
That's the thing.
Toya. Because
Yes.
Cotter's not a back rower. And you speak about defensive, what happens in defensive lines. It's as much as moving your shoulders is what the outside defenders do. Daly Cherry Evans is apparently tough to defend next to because he's got the Des Hazard mentality of you just got to take the back rower, so he gets up, just takes him.
Gets in front, doesn't he?
But then you've got Toya who's got to make decisions off the back of Cherry Evans. So I reckon the Blues.
Then
might
he's just
go
going to
around
have
that
Latrell
combination.
just sitting out there. And the whole thing will be is to get Latrell one-on-one with Toya. You know what I mean? So that's what happens where in Origin, you got to make your one-on-ones. The pressure's going to be on Toya, but, you know, like he's going to be up for it, but it's going to be a massive challenge. What I said on Monday, it's like Trell in Origin is a different beast.
I reckon that's what makes him more dangerous too with the Mitch Nath combo. I reckon Mitch plays when he's at his best and when he nails it, he plays flat footy really well. So that's when you get in the head of Toya. Like he's got Crichton out there as well, but he's got Latrell and he's got a new centre to Origin. Like you can't underestimate
And
that.
Dylan Edwards
You got
out
Mitch,
the back.
Yeah,
It
out
looks,
the back. You got
yes.
Mitch Moses taking the line on. They're more unpredictable because Queensland, and we've all seen Luai, Nathan, Isaiah Yeo, Dylan Edwards, we know their style of footy. We don't necessarily know exactly what it's going to look like with Mitch Moses and Nathan Cleary, and I think that's a big positive for New South Wales.
You mentioned Crichton there, Allana. Allana knowing Toya and giving information to New South Wales is something I haven't factored in too, right? Like Angus Crichton plays with him in the club footy, sees a young Robert Toya for a couple of years now, even though he's been injured, so that could be a huge name to watch for. And
well, no short side's too small for Mitch. He twinkle toes down short sides all the time, but that's all it's going to be. He might plant himself behind the ruck, and every single opportunity he gets, if they want to leave two on even a 10-metre short side, he's taking that every single time, and I reckon that it actually is so hard to defend. When, as Lana said, when you're over that advantage line. And you're putting that pressure on that centre. Does he come in? Does he stay out? He's so hard, and Mitch usually nails the pass or the run every single time. So, yeah, I reckon that's the style they'll play. If you watch Penrith play, Dylan Edwards holds the short sides a lot, and Nathan Isaiah will link up. But I reckon it might be Mitch holding those short sides just to have a crack at them.
keep that mic up, Mace, because Jimmy's got a question for you, and he wants to talk about the difference between your time and now with the bonding sessions. Yeah.
Oh, God. We ruined bonding sessions.
I'd say it would have probably varied from coach to coach. You had a couple in your time during Origin, but I'd imagine there's some sort of element of bonding sessions still being a thing to build connections, or is it in ball work sessions off, like on the
I don't
field
think,
to
I don't
build
think
connect?
that the bonding sessions are around.
Nothing at all?
No.
I
The
think
True
Queensland
Blues,
still do
yeah, Queensland still do it. When
Locking at the
when our bonding nights got banned in 2004, that was still having parties. That Queensland, they always did. They win 8, 9. They won 8 in a row. They didn't change what they were doing. We had to change what we did, but the game's changed now. I think the True Blues dinner on Monday, they might have a beer or a wine. It's really frowned upon, right? And I don't think it's a good look for the players because when you put so much pressure on these young kids and you see a young kid having a good time, just say after that down playing roulette or something, and he's having a beer like it would be 20 years ago, right now you get scathed through the papers, right? So they just don't. It's not part of society. It's not part of their the culture anymore in rugby league compared to when I was playing. It was a big thing, right? And
Drinking culture.
Yeah, it was a really big drinking culture. And that's just what you got indoctrinated into, right? Now it's totally different. So these guys aren't really doing that much. You know, they bond in different ways.
Rob, you were about 10 years later when you got your
Yeah.
crack. Had it changed significantly from Mace's time to yours and then even what you're seeing and hearing now?
No, ours was just like still there.
Yeah, it's only just disappeared in the last 5 years.
It was if you didn't drink, it was frowned upon. No, like it was, and look, I was okay with it all. I
green
actually
lighted
think-
everything.
I actually think that's how I got selected for the bonding session.
so
But no,
when-
it was awesome.
When I was coming through, like Andrew Johns was captain and Brad Fittler and all these guys. So I come into that and no, like Freddie was a bit different. Like he wasn't into partying and everything there. But Joey was the captain. If you've heard any stories about Joey, times it by 10.
They're all true.
You know what I mean? Like times it by 10 in Origin camp when he was the absolute king of everything on and off the field. So you got to come, a young like 22-year-old coming into camp, and you're just like, oh well, this is the culture. This is how it is, and it just was. And right now, it's not. And I just don't think these kids. It's just not part of their DNA.
What about the coaches? What was the loosest coach you had?
Gus was probably one of the loosest coaches. Him or Ricky Stewart. Not loose, like Gus would go first, we'd be going down at Clovelly. First drink is like Sam Booker shots.
Yeah.
Good luck, boys. See you at the end of that.
But
That's
like
why
he
we
give-
ended
he give you a bit
bonding
more
after
rope,
that. No, but like that's just the way it was. Because even guys like Wayne Bennett understand the bonding of a team, right? It's just that people just used to go overboard, didn't we? Just a little bit too much. And then people just go, all right, we just tone it down a little bit. But even Wayne Bennett goes, all right, he understands the importance of a couple of beers or beverages to bond a team, a new team and everything like that. But he's like, nothing good happens after 12 o'clock. He's right. You know, so you just got to really, they've reeled it in because of the amount of pressure on them in society and papers and all this kind of stuff, because it's not a good look for the game. You see anyone like doing anything wrong these days, there's like, you'll never see a footballer down Coogee Bay or anything like that anymore. It's like we used to just hang down there all the time. We're just part of the public. Now they've put these players on a different tier, different pressure.
A couple of bad eggs ruin it for everyone, don't they?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Fred, you've got a question for Allana.
Yeah, Allana. So
Done.
What's your number?
a bit of a nah.
Sorry, I didn't give it any.
What are you up to? What are you up to after this?
I didn't give this one any context.
Man, I'll
She's
work
going
out
over
this, mate.
hospital 3 kids.
To be honest, this one's more personal. It's
Yeah,
about your
that's
injury
what-
history as well. So,
Yeah,
Fred,
it's a bit of a depressing note now.
Right. Bring us down. Let's go.
Yeah, let's just bring it.
Yeah. I was keen for a date.
Just complete buzzkill. Sorry for a buzzkill, but I just had a question in regards to your rough injury history. You went through 4 ACLs in total, and it ended up cutting your career short. I've just done my second one, and I just was curious to see what kept you motivated during the tough times, and then after your tragic retirement, whether you were considering returning to sport after it.
If I could have returned to sport, I would have. I still wake up most days wishing I could play footy. So pretty much what happened when I did my 4th one was that I had no bone left to screw into to get a new ACL.
Oh, wow.
Because the one before that they used, instead of using a hamstring tendon, they used an Achilles tendon from a cadaver to make it as thick as what my bone could hold. So if I had done the other leg, I would have been laughing. I would have just got another Rico and I would have
Was it
been
4
fine.
on the same leg?
Now 3 in 1.
Jeez.
But just the history, because I think they say every time you do it, your chances of doing it again go through the roof, whatever. So to answer that, I would love to play footy. I would actually genuinely do anything to be able to, but can't. So park that. But the recovery and like the mental side of it's obviously, as you know, like that's horrible. I hate knowing that you've done that a second time. But I actually had still to this day, my favourite coach that I've ever had, Karen Smith. She said to me after my second one, because my first one was when I was 15. And the second one was just before 18, but I was playing like every sport under the sun. And that was all I cared about. Like a lot of us, sport helped shape our lives. It kept us out of trouble. I had a footy in my hand 24/7. So it was my whole world. First love, whole world. She actually said to me, I want you to be by my side for every single training, for every single game. We're going to coach together and you're going to learn the game from another perspective. So while you're going through your 12 months of recovery, you'll have that, but you'll have the motivation that when you get back in 12 months, you'll know the game a lot better. You would have seen it from a different perspective, the game. And I guess for me as being a ball player as well, like I was in the thick of it. I was calling most of the shots and I was up there in the thick of it the entire time. So it actually was really good being able to sit back and look at the game from another perspective, learn different elements, but also just you have time slow down a little bit more. So when I did return, particularly for that third one, I felt like I had more time on the footy field because I had the opportunity to learn the game from another view, and without sounding like a wanker, like I genuinely really wanted to learn that, and I seriously made the most of every minute so that when I went back there, I was not only like faster and stronger than when I'd done my knee, but also I felt mentally that I was in a much better place.
Yes.
So you can use the time wisely, I
Yeah,
promise.
just off the back of that, have you ever thought about coaching because of that, Allana?
Yeah, I have. And I've had some conversations. I had one really early on. I actually spoke to Robbo and the Roosters when the NRLW started. And I was still working at Channel 9, but for me, I was really grateful that they had me in consideration. But at the same time, I was young, like I was only 26 years old, and my sort of response was like, I just finished, I should still be playing with these girls for at least another, you know what I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Exactly. So I think I'm going to like wait my time, but appreciate the offer. And then recently I've had some conversations as well. It's not something I would ever say no to because I love coaching.
And
but at
media's
the
going
moment,
so good too, right? Like
like and also there's that too. Like I can definitely do both, but I've got young kids.
Got 3 kids. Yeah.
I've got a 6, a 3, and a 4 or 5 month-year-old. Like I'm happy to like let the next 5 years play out a bit. I don't know how.
Don't worry about it.
Like I feel like we got time
till you're
here.
50.
We got time, but yes, I'd love to.
The last question comes from Dave, and this is for every expert.
3 kids.
Every expert here. And we did the podcast on Monday, Dave, and I reckon we got at least 5 comments about this question in the lead up to Origin, mate. So fire away.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, this feels like it's on behalf of all NRL fans, really. City country, why is it not a thing anymore? When are they going to bring it back? What's going on there?
Yeah, City Country was fun. I remember, I think they canned it, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? But it was a genuine trial some years, about 2003, 2004, I think it was, like a genuine trial. They were picking the best players. And then they had an Anzac test. So if you're in the Anzac test, you didn't have to play City Country or anything like that. You got picked straight in the New South Wales team and all that sort of stuff. So it really stuffed up. I'm not sure why they haven't got it again because I think it's something that's just great for the game and great for the country rugby league. But I'm pretty sure New South Wales Rugby League overtook Country Rugby League, therefore it just all disappeared. So it was a bit of a shit little thing, but I think Country Rugby League and City, it belongs somewhere in the game, but then you whinge about
Too many games.
You know, it's another game on the schedule. But like, I get it. I loved it when I played City Country. I didn't have no problem with the schedule at all when I was playing. It was like Origin, City Country, all that kind of stuff. There was kangaroo tours. You just got to deal with it.
Did you play a couple grub?
Yeah, they were awesome.
That was so fun, wasn't it?
I actually think it's really good for even though I'm from the city. The country people love it because they don't really get to. There was always at Tamworth or Bathurst or something, and they don't really get to see much footy. No. So I think it was awesome for them. But at the same time, I love representing city.
Same.
Like it was another opportunity to, get a rep honour. But I do understand with the players now and the load. We're all talking about Turbo and
Yeah,
It's
true.
not
you
a
know,
thing.
like it's all about load management and. But then you say that's another product,
another-
right? It
yeah.
gets more eyes on the game. But I like it they're still doing it on the weekend, actually, in the juniors.
Yes.
So like 17s, 18s, 19s, there's still like a product there for those kids to make those sides. But I would.
It was a
I'd
big
love
deal
to see
when
it
we were
back, but
younger,
that's just me
right? It
being
was a big
selfish. Yeah,
deal
it was
playing
massive.
City
I loved
Country,
it.
like under 18s and 19s when I was coming through, and then was fortunate enough to play City Country about 3 or 4 times when I was playing. But going back to the schedule and a lot of whinging about load management, I don't think it's ever going to happen because it's another week in camp. It's another game. And that game is no joke. It's not like you're just going through there because you got kids coming through that want to really put their name out there. And then you got vets, and then it's a real hard one to try and bring back. And once games like that disappear, they're not coming back.
I won't say his name because I don't want to throw him under the bus. But
Oh, good.
it was me. It was myself and another mate of mine, and he had a bit of a dodgy knee. We go into camp and we go into it first night just straight into a pub in Surrey Hills or something, and
So good.
he was like, "My knee's gone. Like if I drink, I think I'll be gone." I said, "Well, I'm drinking." So, but anyway, so he asked.
So you drink?
He asked Freddie, and Freddie's answer was, "Yeah, if you can train tomorrow, no dramas." And I said, "You always get through this. Like your knees bunged anyway." He goes, "All right, well, we'll have a lash." Had a bit of a crack. Wake up in the morning and his knees just
Massive. Get trained.
It was huge. He couldn't train. He didn't play.
It sounds good.
Oh man.
Rubbed.
Yeah,
You're a
not my fault.
boy, aren't you, Jimmy?
Sorry,
So you're
mate.
passionate by the sounds.
Oh, not. I was thinking that you can maybe make a tweak to it. Like
Yep.
you
Yeah,
said,
it's
their
not going
country
back.
towns like it. Like I remember would have been 10 or 12 when it came to Port, and you got to go around to all the schools and all the young kids get to meet their favourite player. Like with the scheduling, maybe it's not really a thing as a
Yeah.
genuine Origin trial anymore. But could there be something? Maybe you could tweak the concept to perhaps highlight younger players in the game. Maybe a limit of if you play less than 75, 50 games, and in a way it's kind of like a up and coming.
Like a
For
Prime
the younger
Minister's
players?
game at
Yeah,
the end of the
yeah,
year
sort of
where
like
PM.
you're
that.
not
Because
really
you
gonna
get a
be
rep
part of
honor, you get a rep
Australia.
honor, you get a sort of
During
type-
Origin as well, sort of right
Origin
about
type
now,
prep.
like an under 21 sort of thing.
Yeah. Or maybe not even.
I don't know.
It doesn't have to be maybe it could be an age thing, but just for maybe them players that are not quite there, but then they get to sort of have a trial run at a camp, as in.
Well, especially for New
like
South
that.
Wales kids that are like in there, just say like a Stefano and all these young kids, Galvin and all that. That'd be good for those kids, right? They're borderline rep players, and then you get a
Maybe
taste
not
of the
quite
rep
there.
football. That's what it is. Like I think there is a market
Strange.
there.
Your man
Strange, Ethan Strange,
Yeah,
like
be
all these
perfect
guys
six.
are sort of like they're all going to come through the system. Right, and get into that rep jersey, and that was just a stepping stone for us. Like the City Country, okay, well, I can deal with that. New South Wales can deal with that. Australia, that was the pathway to rep, and they've sort of put a halt to that. So I'm not sure. I don't see it coming back.
Yeah, neither.
You know what I mean? Only because of the scheduling and because of the game. Like, the clubs will be like, no, we don't. We're playing these. We're paying these players $1.5 million. I don't want to see him play another game, and it's all because of superstar players getting injured.
We debate international at the end of the year too, right?
Like
too much
everything's
footy for
getting. There's too much
internationals,
footy
let alone
for
City Country.
Yeah, they'll let us City Country like players will be like whinging about going on a kangaroo tour.
All right, guys. Thank you for that episode. We'll wrap it up there. We've got we'll be back, so we'll be doing another Origin special episode. The experts will definitely be back, and it will be before Game 3. So hopefully, Dave, we're the only Queensland contingent here. We at least want to decide it, don't we? And it's. I think this series is going to be really close. I'm looking forward to it. There's some good chat there, and hopefully we get it decided before the next episode.
Hold on. I've got a question. Where were you born?
Auckland, New Zealand. Yeah, rattled
Lucky. Lucky. You are very, very lucky. I thought it was you.
Auckland, New Zealand, bye.